You ever get that gut feeling something changed while you were sleeping? Derek did. He had only been living in Raven Hollow for 3 weeks, just a quiet, woodsy town where the fog hangs low and the nights are so silent it makes your ears ring. His rental was a modest cottage tucked at the end of a gravel road, with a sprawling empty lot next door, filled with nothing but weeds, gravel, and an old, rotting signpost that pointed to nowhere. Derek liked the empty lot. It meant no neighbors. No noise. No kids screaming outside his window. Just birds and silence. But one morning, he stepped outside, coffee in hand, robe half open, and dropped his mug. There was a house. Not a truck. Not construction tape. Not workers. Just a full, 2-story Victorian house that hadn't been there yesterday. It was matte black, with bay windows like hollow eyes and a roof that looked slanted, like it had shifted in place too fast. No address plaque. No mailbox. Just sitting there like it had been dropped from the sky. He stood frozen, staring at it. How does a whole house just appear overnight? He walked to the edge of the lot, heart racing. No tire tracks. No foundation cracks. No signs of movement at all. Just a house that shouldn't be there. And then something in the upstairs window shifted. Curtains fluttered. Someone, or something, was already inside. Derek wasn't the type to jump to conclusions, but this wasn't normal. By noon, he had already knocked on 3 doors. Old Mrs. Calhoun 2 houses down blinked at him, confused. What do you mean the house just appeared? That's the Langford place. Been there since before you were born, dear. The mailman, Jeff, who he'd chatted with twice already, laughed when Derek asked. Buddy, you feeling okay? That house is older than the post office. Even the grocery store clerk, a teenager who looked like she hadn't cared about anything since birth, rolled her eyes when he brought it up. Yeah, I know that creepy place. My mom says it's haunted or whatever. Why? Every single person insisted that house had always been there. But Derek knew what he saw, or didn't see, yesterday. He walked his dog past that lot every evening. It had always been empty. Always. And now they were gaslighting him like he was the crazy one? Back home, he searched online. Property records, town registries, Google Earth. Nothing. No address listed. No sale records. On Google Maps, the lot still showed as empty. A timestamp from just 2 months ago. Yet there it stood. Solid. Heavy. Watching. That night Derek stood at his window staring at the house, and for a split second, he could have sworn it had gotten closer. Just a few feet. Like it had leaned in. Derek couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he pictured the house. Not just the shape of it, but the feeling. That deep, heavy sensation that it was aware of him now. Like something inside had turned its attention toward his bedroom window. At 3:12 a.m., he gave up trying to sleep and shuffled to the kitchen for water. As he passed the front window, he froze. The house across the lot wasn't dark anymore. One of the upstairs windows was glowing, faintly, like a dull lantern behind frosted glass. But it wasn't the soft, steady light of a lamp. It pulsed. Dim, bright. Dim again. Like it was blinking. And that's when Derek noticed something else. The curtains in the downstairs window were slightly parted. He stepped closer to his own window, squinting. Inside that slit, just beyond the old glass, was a figure. Pale. Motionless. Too tall. The proportions were wrong. It didn't move like a person. And even though it was staring through the crack in the curtains, its head was tilted slightly up. As if it wasn't watching him directly, but watching the space above him. The ceiling. Derek took a slow step back. Then another. And then, the light in the upstairs window snapped off. He jumped, heart hammering. The next blink wasn't from the house. It was his own, jerking in fear. And when he opened his eyes again, the curtains were closed. The next morning, Derek couldn't shake the feeling that something was off inside his own house. He kept hearing little noises, soft taps, distant creaks, things you could usually chalk up to an old home settling. But now, they felt intentional. Like someone was mimicking the sounds a house should make, but just slightly wrong. It wasn't until he went to brush his teeth that things crossed the line from creepy to unexplainable. He looked into the bathroom mirror. Tired eyes, messy hair, the usual. But behind him, down the hallway, he caught a glimpse of something. A shadow. No, a person. Standing just beyond the doorway. He spun around, nothing there. He shook his head, leaned back over the sink. You're tired, Derek. You're jumpy. It's all in your head. But when he looked into the mirror again, his stomach dropped. There it was, again. A figure standing in the hallway. Closer this time. Still. Watching. Except this time, he noticed something else. The reflection showed the hallway, yes. But it didn't match what was really behind him. A coat rack that didn't exist. A crack in the wall that wasn't there before. The mirror wasn't reflecting his house. It was reflecting a different version of it. He touched the glass. Cold. Solid. Normal. But the figure didn't move. Didn't blink. And then, its head tilted, ever so slowly, just like the one behind the curtains last night. He stumbled back, heart racing, knocking over the toothbrush cup. When he looked again, the hallway was empty. His hallway. But the mirror was cracked, right down the center. That night Derek triple locked his doors. He closed the blinds. Drew the curtains. Unplugged every mirror in the house, yes, unplugged, because that's how twisted his logic had become. He didn't want anything reflecting a world that wasn't his. He curled up on the couch with the TV on low. Something brainless. Cartoons. Noise to drown out his thoughts. By 2 a.m., he was drifting in and out of a light, twitchy sleep when he heard it. Crunch. 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 Gravel. Someone was walking across the lot. He turned off the TV, breath caught in his throat. Crunch. Pause. Crunch. Slow. Deliberate. Not casual footsteps, dragging footsteps. As if someone was limping. Or being pulled. Derek crept to the window, careful not to let the blinds shift. Nothing. No person. No animal. Just the house across the lot, and the driveway in between. But the sound continued, closer now. Crunch. Scrape. Crunch. Then it stopped. He backed away from the window, heart in his ears. Tap. His front door handle jiggled. Once. Then again. Soft. Testing. Like someone didn't want in immediately, just wanted to know if it was open. He held his breath. Didn't move. Didn't blink. The handle stopped. Silence. He waited 5 minutes. 10. An eternity. Finally, he tiptoed to the door. Looked through the peephole. Nothing but his porch. But in the morning, he saw it. His doormat was turned upside down. And in the middle of it, right where you'd wipe your feet, was a single, blackened fingerprint. Derek had reached his limit. By now, he knew no one would believe him. Not the police. Not the neighbors. Not even his sister, who had stopped answering his calls altogether. But if the thing inside that house wanted him to be scared, confused, and cornered, it had succeeded. And Derek had one last card to play. He was going to break into the house. It was just before sunset when he crossed the gravel lot. No lights in the windows. No signs of life. The porch groaned under his weight like it didn't want him there. The front door wasn't locked. It wanted him inside. The smell hit him first, mildew and something sharper, like old iron and wet wood. He stepped into the foyer, flashlight cutting across the dusty air. That's when he stopped dead in his tracks. The layout was familiar. Too familiar. Hallway to the right. Living room to the left. Same split staircase. Same tiny crack in the ceiling crown molding. It wasn't just similar. It was his house. He moved deeper, breath hitching with every creak. Everything was off, rotted, decayed, like his home had aged 100 years in this version. The furniture was warped copies of his. Same pattern, different colors. As if someone had tried to recreate it from memory, and got it just slightly wrong. Then he saw it. At the top of the stairs was a photo, framed and hung neatly. He stepped closer. It was a picture of him. Sleeping. Same pajamas. Same bedspread. Taken from above, like someone had stood over him, camera in hand, while he slept. There was a smudge on the corner of the frame. A blackened fingerprint. He backed away too quickly, stumbling into a side table, knocking over a lamp. The crash echoed like thunder through the empty house. But then, something upstairs creaked. Slow. Rhythmic. Whatever lived here had just woken up. Derek ran home that night without looking back. He slammed the door, locked it, twice. Then grabbed every chair he owned and stacked them against the door like it would matter if that thing wanted in. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. The next morning, he forced himself to go into town. He needed to tell someone. Anyone. Just to feel real again. But something had shifted. When he walked into the coffee shop, the barista he chatted with every Tuesday didn't greet him. Just stared like he was a stranger. Do you want something? At the grocery store, the cashier didn't say hi like usual. She asked if he was new in town. Derek tried to laugh it off. It's me. Derek. I've been here a month. I rent the place near the old lot. She frowned. That lot's got 2 houses now. Has for years. Even Jeff, the mailman, his one neutral ally, tilted his head and said, You said your name's what again? Derek's stomach sank. His mail had stopped coming. His name was no longer on the local directory. His landlord's number had been disconnected. And when he tried to log into his online rental portal, his account was gone. Like he never signed the lease. Like he was never here. The town had forgotten him. But the house hadn't. When he returned home, he found something sitting on his porch. A small picture frame. His photo. Sleeping. Same shot he saw inside the black house. But now it was burned around the edges, as if pulled out of a fire and left just for him. And behind the glass, tucked into the corner, was a note, scrawled in soot. You're home now. Derek had one thought pounding in his head now. Get out. He didn't care about his things. He didn't care about the deposit. He just needed distance, between himself and that house. Between himself and whatever version of reality was breaking down around him. He packed a bag in 5 minutes. Grabbed his keys. Didn't even lock the door behind him. As he sped down the tree-lined roads of Raven Hollow, he didn't look back. The fog thickened behind him like a curtain being pulled shut. He passed the diner. The gas station. The crooked road sign where GPS always lost signal. And then, something strange happened. He passed them again. At first, he thought he'd taken a wrong turn. He made a hard right, doubled back, tried a side road that wound through the forest. But 20 minutes later, he was passing the same diner. The same gas station. Same crooked sign. The town was looping. He stopped the car, breathing hard, trying not to scream. He tossed the GPS out the window. Useless. Worthless. He took a different road. A gravel one. No signs, no name. Just trees and dirt and silence. Until, eventually, the road curved around, slowly, quietly. And opened back up into his neighborhood. And there it was. The black house. Only this time. It was closer. It now stood on his lawn. Where his house used to be. He stumbled out of the car, shaking. His rental cottage was gone, completely erased, like it had never existed. Only the black house remained. The same windows. The same rotted porch. Except now, the front door was wide open. And inside he could see his couch. His lamp. His shoes by the mat. Like his house had moved inside of it. Or worse. Like he had already been living there all along. Derek doesn't remember falling asleep. One moment he was standing outside the black house, eyes locked on that open door. The next, he opened his eyes, and he was in bed. His bed. Same sheets. Same comforter. Same dull ceiling fan spinning overhead. But something was off. The room smelled of mildew and smoke. The walls, once soft beige, were now cracked and stained. His phone was gone. No light came in through the windows. No sound. He sat up slowly, and noticed something strange. The mirror across the room was fogged over, from the inside. He rose, moved toward it, and froze. The reflection was not his room. Same layout, yes? But the version in the mirror was older, darker, peeling wallpaper, rotted wood, and behind him someone was standing there. He spun around. Nothing. But the mirror still showed it. That tall, too thin figure from before. Its head tilted, face smeared like wet charcoal. And this time, it raised a hand. And so did Derek, involuntarily. Like a puppet on a string. He stumbled back, heart pounding. He had to get out. He ran to the front door, yanked it open. And what he saw made his knees buckle. Across the street stood a house. His old house. Pristine. Quiet. Untouched. And in the window, a man was staring out in confusion. Derek's mouth dropped. It was him. Or someone who looked like him. Wearing his clothes. Living his life. Blinking like he had just woken up in a nightmare. The door behind Derek creaked. He turned slowly. Inside the black house, the walls had begun to shift, peeling, cracking, swallowing light. And from the shadows he heard breathing. Heavy. Wet. Close. It whispered, not into his ears, but into his bones. You moved in. You stay.